Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Heroes of the Storm. Today is going to be just a very brief video, as there was a patch roughly about a week ago, May 22nd, to Heroes of the Storm, making several changes to the UI, several changes to lots of heroes. So several heroes have been, a couple heroes have been retooled, and a few heroes have just been giving a few balance changes. So I'll be looking at some of the overall changes you'll see here. Now, you have my apologies. Over the last week, I did release a couple of videos I had on backlog, and those were on the old patch system. So even though the new patch has been out for roughly a week at this recording, you just haven't been able to see it yet. Now, you have my apologies on that for being behind. I've been trying to make sure that I've been able to get something out for you guys at least once a day, rather than releasing everything all kind of at once. I figured it's just a little bit easier that way. But, of course, with feedback, I can try and change that. So, unfortunately, while behind, I can at least try and give you some updates as to what's been going on. First and foremost, you can kind of see that the UI here is a little bit different already. A lot of it is still the same. The buttons at the upper left are the same. In the bottom here, you can see your progress. But you might notice, of course, this big, wonderful rectangular thing here. This is the looking for party system. It will show you anybody who's currently looking for a group. And you can even click the little check mark here to say, hey, you're looking for a group, and then your name will also appear in this list, and so that people can invite you. And what you're seeing here is, of course, their icons, the character level that they have. So, like, I'm level 21, this one's level 10, this one's level 12. Also, when you look at this, you don't see it now, but sometimes a little star will appear that will tell you that that person is roughly equivalent to your skill level. So you can try and see if someone is around your same level. Now, I'm going to admit that this is probably one of the best ways to go. There's a couple reasons. One of which is because this is here, I think I'm running a lot more into groups of people, to parties, because the win-loss ratio has gone downhill since this came out. And I've been dealing with a lot of defeats. And that's kind of typical. I've noticed that a lot with some of these with matchmaking, especially since this game still really doesn't have true matchmaking integrated into it yet. But I think it's even more so now that you're going to have a lot of people that may be in a party, may be trying to work together actively. Now, the reason it's good for is not only to counteract that, but the other system is this. If I just mouse over my portrait here in the upper right-hand corner, you can see that there's a friend bonus. In fact, it might be hard to see, but here in the lower right-hand corner is a little XP icon that's in gray. If you're in a group with a friend, so someone on your friends list, you get 50% more experience. So just partying up isn't going to do it. You have to have someone in your friends list in your party. So it kind of behooves you to kind of find people that you might like to play with and maybe befriend them. This is amazing. A 50% experience bonus really helps you to get some levels. I've been doing this with a couple of people I know online, and it just really helped to get additional experience. So some of the numbers I've seen were just absolutely astronomical. Now, it doesn't go up with the more people you have in your party, because you can have a 5-man party. It only gives you one time 50%. So if I have 5 friends, then I will not get 200% experience. It just won't happen. All right, here's that star I was telling you about. You can see that this person is supposedly close to my skill level, so I could party up with them, and that might be a good idea for me. I can click on each of these parts here to just individually look for people that are either in the looking for party system or in my friends list. So if I click on this, it'll say, hey, just go ahead and invite somebody. Now, since I'm looking up here, let's go ahead and look at what's changed up here in the portrait. Not too much. You still have the profile summary and match history, which are grayed out for the current stage of the alpha, and the hero and daily quests do show up. But one change is that you can change your portrait here. You'll notice I have the Witch Doctor. Before it was just the Heroes of the Storm logo. So you click on that and you can choose any one of these icons, which currently are just the portraits of the heroes in the game. But it gives you a little bit of customization for your account. So you can go in, change portrait, and make it look however you want. I'm sure there'll be a lot more added there later. Alright, let's go into the shop. I can show you that one thing that has been changed for this current setup is that there are new bundles. They've taken out the franchise-specific bundles, and they've added in bundles for specific characters. So what it looks like is they're trying to see what type of marketplace people are wanting. I know a lot of people are upset to see the starter pack go, to see the franchise-specific stuff go, because they're like, hey, I like that franchise. I wanted to buy those heroes. But this is honestly kind of a standard pack I would expect to see. You can see a lot of these are half off. It makes sense, and this is something that Marvel Heroes does for their game, is what they're doing, there's offering you things like here, the Medic Uther bundle. It gives you both Uther and the Medic Uther. Now you can see it cuts the price in half, so you would normally buy Uther. Now you can buy Uther and get the medic skin. Why buy the one when you can have both? Same thing with Kaijo Diablo. We'll give you Diablo and his Kaijo skin. These two are elite packs, so Zeratul and Tyrael. You'll see if you get these, not only do you get Zeratul, but you also get Ronin and High Templar. So you're getting a couple more out of these. So the elite bundles offer more skins than the standard ones. So you can see Demonic and Seraphim Tyrael are available in this pack. Also, since Grunty was added this patch, he was given a bundle, but you'll notice that his price is a little bit different. His is only 25% off compared to the others' 50%. This is simply because Murky is new. So that is kind of nice to see that he is so new that they are giving him a little bit of a discount, but obviously it's not going to be near as much as the pre-existing characters. Alright, I went into the try section for Sergeant Hammer here to show you a few different things about the game, and you may notice immediately that the game looks very different, at least in the UI. A lot of the buttons are now done in hexagon format. It's been kind of stylized a bit. You can see the Hearthstone and the mount here kind of have that angular look to them now. They're not square buttons. You'll notice that the portrait is also a hexagon here instead of a giant square. A few other changes: the map in the lower right is much bigger, and you'll notice it doesn't have a border anymore, so it's a lot more transparent, and it makes it a little easier to see past. And also the map looks a bit easier to read to me. It was a little bit confusing at first because just the way the maps look were very different, but it still shows the same basic information, and a lot of it is just a bit wider. So it's kind of easier to see where everything is in relationship to each other. Here in the try menu, though, specifically what I wanted to show that's different is you have a few new tools here. You have the standard toggle minions, which turns on the enemy AI, gets the enemies walking towards you, and of course does the same thing for your side. The refresh forts is here as well, so you can just refresh the fort, so if you've done damage, it resets them. It also resets the minion creeps as well, so they'll go back to base and come back. But also, you can level your character up manually by clicking on this level up button. Also, you'll see the levels here have been moved to the top instead of by the map. So now you can see both me and the enemy are level 10. There is the timer here, and these are the experience bars to the left and right. Now typically, if I'm in try mode, so you can't see it now, typically the objective health will show up down here once one of them gets damaged. So you can kind of see how your team is doing to the enemy team. Oh, gotta toggle the minions again. Alright, so you can basically just keep leveling yourself up, and you can even reset your level. Now the reason why you want to reset level is the same way you would do it before, in case you wanted to try a different ultimate. And one thing that has changed is the talent screen when you're choosing your talents here, and this is specific to the main game as well as the try menu. But I can click on my character portrait, and you'll see here come the talents. And unlike before, where you just had a list that showed up here, you'll notice it takes up kind of half the screen. So that is one downside. It's very big and bulky. That could probably be changed later. But honestly, I'm not sure it needs to be, and I'll show you why. Let me just go ahead and do the fort so that they'll stop fighting. Here you choose your talents just like normal. And I pick whatever I want, but that's the one big thing, though. In the try menu before, you could not pick your talents. You were automatically given level 10. You were automatically assigned certain talents. Now, when you go into try, you can actually try out some talents and actually try out a little bit of building. The downside is, what you may notice is that some things are locked out to me. It is treating me as if I was not level 8. So I think that this hasn't been tied into the level system yet. I don't know if this is going to be intentional going forward. I hope it isn't. Because really what I would love to do is be able to try out a hero with all of their talents and see if those talents are worth using. The reason I say that is because I've had some recent difficulty. I was trying to try out some different characters, and I was having difficulty with builds, and the builds just weren't working. I was not able to make the builds work. I was dying repeatedly, and compared to seeing other players who would play the same character do exceptionally well. And so I kept thinking, well, what is it that they're doing that's different? I would see them do much higher damage, or I would see them take more damage. I just couldn't really figure it out, and it's kind of difficult to play around with builds when you're in live combat. You could, of course, do that in practice, but practice is difficult because the AI is not quite that clever still. So you can get a rough idea, but it's still not the best indicator. And not only that, but practice only works if you own the hero. If you want to try a hero that you don't own yet, and you want to see if all their abilities are worth it, you have to basically buy that hero straight out and then go into a practice match, which I just don't think is ideal. I'm sure this will change. It's nice to see that you can at least choose it, so I can at least pick my talents now. Now I can also go through all of the ranks of talents and take a look at them all while in-game. This, I think, is a major improvement. Being able to take a look at my highest tier of talents and say, maybe I'm at level 10. I'm like, I don't know which one of these two I want. Let's go look at level 20 and see how they're augmented. I can do that now. Now, if you don't like the big bulky menu, that's fine. If I let that go, let me go hit level up so you'll see it. You'll notice that you have this nice little icon that shows you, hey, choose a talent. You can press control for quick access. That is nice. If I hold control, you'll see I get a little thing that shows me which one is which. It doesn't give me any details, although if I mouse over, I get the small tooltip version. But if you know your character well, and you know what build you want to do, you level up rather than trying to navigate through a menu. You can hit control and say, oh, I want Vampiric Assault, control 2. Okay, alright, what do I want? I want to go ahead and give myself Hover Siege mode. Great, alright, now I can just go ahead and do that. Excellent. Oh, I'm level 11, I'm level 10, I need my ultimate. Which one do I want? Oh, yeah, Lava, there we go, there we go. Very quick and easy, and this is a system I know that at least Smite has where you can just push a button real fast to get your talents into where you want them. But now you can just hit control and pick whatever talent you want in the game, which is excellent. Now, when you're in the full game, this system does not have everything locked. It does show everything you're supposed to have. It's only in the try menu or in the try section that for some reason they don't exist. So hopefully they'll get that fixed up. I'm looking forward to it, but I do like this fact that I can level up and at least take a look at what the basic talents are for a character if I weren't level 8. So at least I can say, okay, there's a couple differences here, and I can try them out and see how it feels. And of course, reset level will reset you back to level 1, and of course, turn off all the talents you've chosen so that you can go back in and say, okay, that didn't work. Let's go ahead and start over, pick some more talents, and see what you want to do. So this menu is much better, and I do like these changes to the UI. So I'll go through, and I'm going to pick a character into a practice mode and kind of show up a few of the other differences. Alright, before going in, I did want to point out, you may have noticed it in the match I was doing there in the practice mode, Sergeant Hammer has been given a kind of a retool here. She looks very different, or at least there's been a few updates to the model. The character itself is mostly the same. Alright, now that we've gotten into a practice match, you can kind of see here, everything looks the same. I can choose all of my talents if I so desire. And you can see that both maps are shown here. Just like before, but it's a little bit, you can see it's a little bit wider. You can kind of see where everything is. And again, I really like the way that looks. Now, a couple things you may not notice right away is that there has been more voice acting added. The level itself, you'll notice is specifically announced by the voice actor of the current objective. So before, when you would hear choose a talent, you would always hear it from the female voice, the generic female voice that they use for the announcer. Now, whatever voice actor for the level you're in does it. So the Haunted Mines will have one, the Raven Lord will announce your talents and things like that in other matches. So it kind of gives you a sense of a deeper immersion for each stage, so you're not always hearing the generic voice anymore. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and choose some basic talents here, try and get going here. Now what you may notice is that there are rings under heroes now as well. Sergeant Hammer, you really can't see it because the hammer is actually so much larger than the ring. But if you look at the enemy, you'll see the rings underneath them. You look at my allies, you'll see the rings underneath them. And the arrow that points off to which direction they're facing. So they've added that to kind of make it a little bit easier to differentiate heroes from everything else that's going on. And you can kind of see what they're doing. And I think this also proves my point that practicing in practice mode is not great for choosing talents. Alright, so I finally got to a point where I can choose an active talent, and I want to go ahead and choose this, even though it's not something I might normally use. I'm going to go ahead and choose First Aid for Sergeant Hammer here. It's an activate to heal over time. And what you'll notice the moment I hit it is I have a second bar now that appears above the first. Previously, new abilities would kind of show up towards the right, or might show up in different spots of the UI, and it could kind of look a little clunky. Not only that, but it made it so that things were never quite in the same spot twice. So now you'll notice that all my main abilities are always in the same spot still, and everything new is going to come up here up top. And you can see I have slots for 6 different abilities, which I do believe is the maximum you can get from talent. So they do have that set up ready to support that. So you can see that it shows the new number 1. I can hit that, and then there we go. I've got a heal should I need it. Now, another thing I want to talk about while I'm just kind of pushing forward is that they have added some rudimentary matchmaking to the game. Now, the matchmaking that they added, they didn't mention anything about skill. They do have the skill star that shows up when you're trying to get party members, but I'm not sure if that counts towards matchmaking in a match. The only notes they really gave for matchmaking inside an actual match was for choosing different types of characters. For instance, you're not supposed to be able to get more than 3 warriors on your team. I think no more than 4 assassins. It's honestly, it's very loose. It seems like the rules are... I still think they have way too much on the extreme, but they're trying to kind of tone it down a bit so that you don't have a team full of nothing but warriors, nothing but assassins. They're trying to even that out a little bit. I don't think they're trying to make it say, hey, you can only have 1 warrior on your team. So they've made it so like they made it like 3, since 3 warriors can be very difficult to play with, since you're kind of missing out the raw damage potential that other classes might have. So this matchmaking is, again, it's very loose, because what will happen is after a few seconds, if you cannot find a match, then the game will automatically start assigning people to you that break the rules. Which is honestly not entirely unexpected. It's the way a lot of games do it, where if you've been sitting in the queue for about, I think they said about 5 or 6 minutes, you'll start getting matches that would normally break the rules that they've set up. And that's perfectly understandable. And the time frame, about 6 minutes, it doesn't really seem that bad, actually, because sitting in a match queue for about 6 minutes, well, can definitely feel like a long time. It gives the system enough time to try and keep it fair. Now, right now, it sounds like a long time, and right now it is kind of a long time, because you will be sitting in the match queue a bit, because we still don't have a huge number of players in the alpha. But as more players get added, as more people play the game, you probably won't really even notice it. I think it's really there to prevent the extreme cases. So you shouldn't really be waiting that long for a match. The matchmaking system, once it's fully implemented and once people are in the game to actually play the game and try it, should ultimately work itself out. I don't see you really needing to worry about it. I would normally say that maybe that's too long and say to tone it down, but I understand the purpose of it is to make sure that you don't have those outlier matches. And the only time you want to have those outlier matches is when the system itself just can't find it. Maybe a new... And honestly, I probably will see that happening more so when a new hero comes out, when the game is fully released, because everybody's going to want to try that new hero. So again, I don't think it's a big deal, and it's too early in the alpha to really say one way or the other. I believe it's just in right now to test it. And at this point, we are finally at the point where we can actually hit the core, and you can now see at the very top the core health is signified under each side. And you can also see the objective here in the lower right, the golem, our golem, the enemy golem, so you can see the health of both golems and how many skulls we got for each are here in the map. So you can see that the UI has very much been streamlined, and it looks... I think it looks better. I really do. I think it could use some more polish, though, that we're obviously not at the Blizzard polish stage. I think what they're trying to do is just get a design concept going, so that you can see this is kind of what we want to do with it, and what they'll probably do is, you know, give it the spit shine when the game is ready to come out. I mean, I wouldn't even worry about seeing that level of polish until Blizzard finally calls this game a beta. I mean, they're still calling it a technical alpha, even though the game works far better than you would expect from a game called an alpha. So we'll start seeing that level of polish later, but for now, everything is looking pretty good, and I'm liking the changes so far. Now, again, there were kind of a lot of character changes, And part of that was a lot of talents kind of got redesigned. A few talents were removed from certain people. And it's really changed up builds a bit. And so I will be going back through characters I've already done and going through any changes that you may see in their builds. And Sergeant Hammer is definitely one of them, because she does have a few things that I used to use that were removed and a few new abilities. I know that at least Illidan, I can't remember off the top of my head if another character got fully redesigned, but it would be, if there was, it would probably another character I haven't actually done or actually used. Illidan was completely redesigned. His abilities are very much different, so if you follow anyone that plays Illidan, you may want to go ahead and watch what they've done with that character, because he definitely plays differently now. So ladies and gentlemen, this is just a look at the May 22nd patch in the alpha version of Heroes of the Storm to kind of show you what's a little bit different, so you might not get lost. Oh, real quick here, I'll show you that the hero deaths are now up here at the upper right and upper left. They were there before, but they were circles and they overlapped. Now you can actually mouse over, and you can see when I moused over that one, it showed both character portraits. So that's a little bit easier to read now. Didn't want to forget that, because I've completely forgot to mention that in the past, that that's what those things were, is they were death timers. Alright, that really is it, and that is the patch. And so I'll be putting out some new videos for each of the characters, maybe only one build, possibly two. We'll take a look. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.